My name is Han, and after about 15 years of being a casual Berserk fan, I can finally say I'm a struggler. I got caught up with the manga and I just can't get enough of it. I even bought the first three deluxe hardcover editions and they're beautiful. But being caught up also means that now I know the existential dread of hiatus. So I find myself in the position of needing to fill that puck-sized hole in my heart with something. Not even dicks this time. There, I made the joke for you. But that something is fan theories. I've been watching a bunch of Berserk videos with all kinds of theories about what the future holds for Guts and the Funky Bunch, and it's cool to see such an active community for such an inactive IP. And most of them are kinda outlandish and, dare I say, dumb, with such poignant insight as, Void is smart, 'cause his brains is out. Also, Skull Knight is Guts from the future, despite that making literally no sense. People also seem to want to answer questions that are just totally irrelevant to the story at this point, like who Guts' parents are. I'm pretty sure that the amount of effort Miura would have put into working that into the story would be slightly less or slightly more than zero if it was in any way important. Also, Guts coming from absolutely nothing is kind of extremely important to the themes of the story and just to him as a character. So if they did the whole Naruto thing where it's revealed at some point that Guts was just Christ King of the Moon all along, and this secret bloodline that was never mentioned happens to be the thing that stops Griffith. Wouldn't that be great? No, it wouldn't. But I digress. There's a couple theories that I think are plausible, and this is my favorite one. I have a feeling that Zodd will betray Griffith and join up with Guts to take on the God Hand. And if that does happen, Zodd could end up being the key to defeating Griffith. I feel that Zodd joining Guts at some point is extremely likely. I think it was foreshadowing when Zodd threw Guts his sword when Guts' sword broke. And Sonya's prophecy also kind of paints a picture of Zodd switching over to Guts' side, and just the obvious parallels between Guts and Zodd's own personal goals and attitude. So let's start with Sonya's prophecy. Sonya tells Zodd that he has a choice to make. To battle again with the sword that cut his flesh, or to make it his own weapon. Now, on face value, that prophecy seems to be referring to Zodd teaming up with Guts to fight Vape God Ganishka, but I think this prophecy has many more implications than that. It seems kind of pointless to have this prophecy if it was just referring to the Ganishka fight, because it was revealed right before the fight itself. I think if Miura wanted to do a whole prophecy thing, it should have been built up to a little more than that instead of just kind of thrown out there like that. And it's definitely in Miura's style to have things kind of have greater and greater importance as the story goes on. I mean, just look at how long Betshi's been around with no payoff at all, and Miura just loves playing the long game in every sense of that term. So now let's talk about Sonya's phrase to again battle the sword that once cut your flesh. Again, could be referring to Guts, because Guts cut his flesh, of course, but Griffith also cut Zodd's flesh in that battle. So this could be more foreshadowing to a battle between Zodd and Griffith. Sonya also tells him that he has to choose between madness or volition, beast or warrior. I think this is telling him that he has to choose between the beast who serves Griffith's madness or the warrior who forges his own path. And if we look at Zodd compared to the other apostles, he seems a lot more human and independent. Some of these traits do also show up with a few of the other high-ranking apostles such as Locust and Irvine, but most of them are driven purely on bloodlust, hedonistic pleasure, and just evil in general. Sure, Zodd's a warrior and he's killed thousands of people, but his motives were never just violence for the sake of violence. He was always looking for a worthy opponent to fight, but that just never came. Kind of like that one gentleman who likes to punch people once. Can't remember his name. I want to say Frank? Oh, never mind. But that was, of course, until Guts and Griffith showed up and he finally got a good fight. But now if we think about it, and Griffith does end up taking over the whole world and all opposition is either destroyed or assimilated into Falconia, like, what's Zodd gonna do after that? I mean, he doesn't really seem to be the kind of guy that's gonna, like, take up knitting or something, but I guess you never know. I think if he had the choice, an epic battle against the God Hand alongside Guts and Skull Knight would be everything he's ever wanted. Zodd and Skull Knight have a bunch of history, they have respect for each other, and I think it would be pretty easy to see them fight alongside with Guts and the aforementioned Funky Bunch. And there's one other thing with Zodd that I don't hear a lot of people talk about, and it's that during the eclipse, he refused to join in with all the other apostles to eat the Band of the Hawk, so that could just be one extra clue about his true nature. So now let's look at the possible implications of Zodd abandoning Griffith. I don't think it's a coincidence that Griffith chose the only apostle who has a ton of parallels to Guts to be his right-hand man. The similarities between the two have always been obvious. They're both really big dudes with obscene strength, they love big old swords, and they use those swords to define and express themselves. There's also the obvious visual similarities with the hair and facial features. I think Griffith either subconsciously or otherwise needed a surrogate Guts to be at his side. Guts was the only person that Griffith respected as an equal, and his leaving the Band of the Hawk was the only thing that Griffith could not handle emotionally. So I have a feeling that if Zodd did the same thing and abandoned Griffith, that could be the one thing that could break the seemingly invincible Griffith/Femto. It seems appropriate with the theme of causality being a spiral rather than a circle, that the past repeats itself but in different ways, that Zodd betraying Griffith could very well dredge up those memories of Guts' departure and cause him to act carelessly, and it could possibly lead to his defeat. That being said, there's a ton of unknowns right now with where the story's gonna head. We have Rickert teaming up with Salat and going to the Bakiraka village. I'm sure that's gonna be really important to the story. And then there's the fact that Griffith and the Moon Baby kind of share a body, and that kind of complicates things. And there's the fact that the real Cask is back, and I'm sure she's going to have a major role to play, so it's all up in the air right now. And there's always the chance that Schnoz will come riding in on the Ghost of Donovan and they'll take out the God Hand. I'm sorry. I mean, I know you're not subscribed, but feel free to subscribe just so you can unsubscribe. Like, I deserve it. But then resubscribe after that. So yeah, there's just a lot of branching paths the story could take right now, and so you really have to take any fan theories with a big grain of salt. But hey, I mean, it's fun to speculate, and that's pretty much all we have right now. So let me know what you think. I need more Berserk discussions in my life, and thanks for watching.